Today's gonna be awesome. So here I am, about 11 or 12 years old, thinking, why can't we just listen to music like a normal family? Yeah, we were going through what was probably the hardest time of our life. But my dad chose to listen to somebody tell him good things. And it was something I didn't understand back then, but I do now. When life delivers challenges, we seek answers in friends, therapists, the internet. And while all these may help, ultimately, the answer must come from within. A beloved high school principal encourages us to take control of our own mental health. Being Your Own Life Coach by John Melton. So fast forward a little bit, or a lot, I just become assistant principal in my old high school. And I find out that my favorite teacher, my 6th grade history teacher, is retiring. So I'm gonna stop by and see him. And I remember, I walked into his room and he looks at me. He goes, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still alive." He proceeded to tell me that in his 35 years of teaching, he had never met an angrier kid. It's funny, but also tragic, that I remember him so fondly. His only memory of me is the anger. In high school, I was actually angrier than I had been in 6th grade. But I did have this history teacher. I mean, this man was like a Jedi. He conducted what I can only call psychological warfare. He got me so angry at myself that he actually tricked me into wanting to do well. My counselor was telling me I wasn't coming back to school. And then all of a sudden I started getting A's and I was being nicer to people and, maybe on my way to make some friends. This transformation was so great that my dad actually asked me if I was on drugs. But by the end of the year, the gig was up. And now it's summer, and I'm lost and confused. Until one day, I'm at my summer job and this mom and her kid walk in. And this kid has a toy car, the exact same model as my dad's old car. And then it hit me. My teacher's Jedi trick was just like the guy in those tapes, telling my brain to think a different thought, one where I actually have potential. Now, this isn't rocket science. There are so many studies on how the brain influences behavior. I was just reading about how women in the 1800s wore really big hats, and when they walked through doorways, they duck and tilt their head. But they did it even when they didn't wear their hats. Why? The answer is simple. If a pattern establishes itself in your brain, absent a conscious decision not to do it, you'll do it. And this applies to thoughts as well. All of the messages you hear when you're young, even the ones you're not aware of, take root. And the more you hear something, the more you accept. Anyways, I didn't know any of this when I was 15, so I decided to conduct an experiment. I was gonna get cool, like ridiculously cool. So I do exactly what the guy in the tape said I should do. I woke up every morning, looked myself in the mirror, and told myself how amazingly cool I was. I actually wrote on my wall, 4 big letters, COOL. Now we all know I didn't actually change anything about myself, but I was changing the way I was thinking. Then one day, my sister comes in and she just unleashes. She says, "You are so not cool if you have to tell yourself that you're cool." And then she looks at me, and this is brilliant. She says, "Maybe if you just tried to be a little bit more happy, then you wouldn't be so miserable to be around." Yeah. I didn't say anything. I just kind of sat there, crushed, thinking about how uncool I am, but also thinking that I don't feel happy. I also don't feel unhappy. I realize that my predominant emotion, my only emotion, was anger. Then, I did the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. I asked myself, why? Why was I so angry? You know, I began to go through all the things in my life, and it was hard. But then, I decided to conduct a second experiment. I was going to be thankful for all of the things in my life. I mean, I really was thanking everybody. You let me borrow a pencil, best thing that ever happened to me. It was just like that transformation I had back in high school. And, well, then my dad asked me if I was on drugs again. I mean, this was the watershed moment. This is where I realized I had spent so much time being angry at everything that I never saw the goodness there was in this world. So while going through all this, I started to make these rules for myself. Trade secrets for being a better person. My first rule. Give sincere thanks every day. It sounds silly, but think about how much of your everyday reality comes from the goodness of others. We all have something to be grateful for. Show it! My second rule. Be great. No, I'm not saying tell yourself you're great when you're not. I'm saying manage your mindset. How do you actually feel? And then name it. I'm angry, I'm sad. And if you don't feel great, figure out why. You have to establish a new pattern in your brain. Positive one. Because positive words bring positive thoughts. The power of your brain is undisputed. You can't just let it do its own thing. Mind over matter. That used to be my mantra. But I don't call it that anymore. Now I call it being your own life coach. We all deserve a great coach in our lives, and we should start with ourselves. Being a coach is really hard work. It's a full-time job. But it's worth it. And you're worth it.